Hey y'all, hope you've had a great start to your weekend. We're here with another weather update. I'm just going to go ahead and pass this video on to the one and only Robbie York, who's going to cover the weather much better than I can.
Okay. Well, good morning. I've had a lot of people reach out to me with weather questions in the last few days, and I don't really watch mainstream, local, or national news these days, but I'm sure there's a lot of chatter out there about the extreme cold and potential winter storm impacting parts of the South over the next few days. So kind of talk about what we know and what we don't know. And as I always prefaced my 3-page dissertation email back in the day, I get paid the same for this, whether it's 100% wrong, 100% right, or somewhere in the middle.
That's what James Spann says, but okay.
Well, he's right. He's the man, by the way. But for certain, the coldest air so far this winter will move in sometime late Sunday evening and on into Monday and Tuesday of next week. It's going to be well below average today, but much below average come the first half of next week. Temperatures like in Nashville could be 0, perhaps a few degrees below 0. Huntsville, that area in the low single digits. And 10 to 15 degrees in the I-20 corridor from Birmingham to Atlanta. One thing to keep in mind is if you're watching local news out of Atlanta, their official forecast, their official low and high temperatures are recorded at Hartsville, which is probably the worst place on the planet to do such a thing because it is an artificial heat island. So, if they're predicting on Channel 2, if they're predicting a low on Wednesday morning of next week of, say, 16 degrees, it's going to be 4 to 6 degrees colder than that over all of West and Northwest Georgia, and even more the further north you go. Parts of North Alabama and Tennessee probably going to stay below freezing for several days, starting sometime Sunday night and then going probably all the way through Thursday, perhaps, or Thursday morning. And models do not handle snowpack and low temperature. The more snow's on the ground, the lower the temperature will be. So places that do get snow, significant snow, could see temperatures that are a good bit lower than what some of the models and forecasts are currently indicating. So, big question, is it going to snow? Yes, somewhere it is. Now, where that is exactly still remains to be seen. One thing to keep in mind is that this storm is just now coming onto the California coast. So, still got a ways to go. The models are only as good as the data that's put in them, who's entering the data, and then how they're calibrated. So, there are all going to be subtle differences between them. So, you can't really look at a model and go, that's exactly what's going to happen, particularly when you're still 48 hours out or more. So, that will come much clearer tomorrow afternoon, most likely, exactly how this is going to line up. Now, this is a great setup for snow in the deep south for somebody. It's not your typical southern snowstorm in that we don't have that classic low pressure in the Gulf moving along the Florida Panhandle and across Florida and throwing that moisture back up into cold air that's in place. The moisture here will be, again, coming out of the Gulf, but it's going to be limited, and the forcing to lift it and to produce the ice crystals is going to be from the forcing in the front. So right now, all the models are showing a really narrow band of snowfall. So there'll be a relatively narrow band of significant snow. A lot of times in the South, when we get snow, it's happening at freezing or even a lot of times above freezing. This is going to be a little different in that most of the snow will be falling into air that's in the 20s and perhaps even in the upper teens towards the end of it. So it's a little different scenario in that what falls on the roads typically melts and refreezes. This is probably just going to freeze on contact, or at least a lot of it will. Temperatures will not be an issue, I don't think. Moisture may be, and exactly how far that moisture gets, big question. Based on the whole blend of models right now, because you've got the two big ones, which are the GFS and the Euro. Then there are some more mesoscale, smaller scale high definition models that are short range, like the NAM, the HRRR, and the SHREF, which is a NOAA product. GFS and the Euro both are kind of showing something similar in a band of relatively significant snowfall. That if you're roughly in a polygon from, say, Oxford, Mississippi, over to Nashville, Chattanooga, back to somewhere around Huntsville, that appears to be the bullseye. All of the models are showing accumulating snow in that area, very cold temps, and without any travel impact starting as early as tomorrow night on into early next week, perhaps on through Tuesday. There are some subtle differences between the Euro and the GFS. Euro is lighter with the amounts, and it's not quite as far south. One thing that I've been noticing with the GFS is, again, you kind of have to pay attention to the trends in these things and what they're doing, not exactly what they're printing out at a given time for one run. I think one thing we're going to see for certain with this is a very sharp cutoff between who gets some accumulating snow and who just seems to see flakes. I can see the scenario like some county in northeast Alabama is literally the county may have nothing at all. It's going to be that kind of cutoff. Now, where that sets up exactly, nobody is going to predict that accurately right now, and probably not until it actually starts happening. One thing I have noticed, though, with the GFS is that line is creeping southward with every run. So, if you're in places like Fort Payne, Rome, Georgia, Summerville, Georgia, that's good if you want to see some. I think the bigger indicator are the blends of models, the ensembles, the SHREF, again, which is a NOAA product that I know a lot of the folks who actually do this for a living will pay a lot of attention to, and it is showing that same bullseye. North Mississippi, the northern quarter of Alabama, and somewhere in Tennessee between Nashville and the Alabama border. So I feel fairly certain those areas are going to see some snow. Now, whether it's 1 or 2 inches, or 3 or 4, and perhaps even 5 or 6 in places like Sand Mountain, the very end of Sand Mountain in northeast Alabama, Mont Eagle in Tennessee, might see 5 or 6 inches. How far south this makes it, it's going to be tough. So I know there's a lot of folks in Haralson and Carroll County areas watching this probably. You probably want to see some snow, and unfortunately, I don't think it's in the cards with this one. I think as that real cold air rushes in, sometime late Monday, early Tuesday, can certainly wring out some snowflakes. That's pretty common. It might be enough for a live Josh Stitcher remote somewhere. Hopefully,
yeah.
So. Might see some freezing drizzle, a little freezing rain, very light at the very tail end of this sometime. Again, wee hours of Tuesday morning, it's possible there'd be enough of that to slick up some bridges and overpasses along I-20, that area. I wouldn't count on it. But like I said, unless something changes drastically in the next 36 hours, I don't see accumulating snow for that area or significant travel impact. Not totally out of the question yet, but it's just looking highly unlikely. I think as far as significant accumulating snow in Georgia, the very northwest corner, Trenton, Dalton, Lafayette, that area, really good bet at seeing some. Somerville, perhaps. And I think best case scenario, it might make it as far south as the greater Armuchee Metroplex there between Rome and Somerville. So,
any quick
yes.
Notes for Nashville, because there's probably a few people living in Middle Tennessee listening to this. Any notes for us, I guess?
Yeah, I think that you're going to see some snow. It all depends on whether that heavy band sets up over you or just to your south. I think a minimum of an inch, 4 or 5 inches on the outside. And regardless of whether it's an inch or 4 or 5 inches, again, with the really cold temperatures, the snow, all of the really cold temperatures, you're going to see significant travel issues. Snow, brine, and salt just don't really have an effect when temperatures get down, upper teens, that kind of thing. It's going to be an absolute skating rink for several nights in a row, I would think. I know Nashville drivers are kind of aggressive. Probably not the time. And I would certainly be prepared for, I don't see a power outage issue with this because it looks like it's going to be all snow up there. But if the power were to go out for some reason, we're talking about wind chills 15, 20 below zero. That's just not something people in the South are accustomed to. And I would be prepared for that, that kind of thing. I guess looking out beyond Monday and Tuesday, cold sticks around. We warm back up a little bit Wednesday and Thursday, but I think we're going to be repeating. Get another, again, a little bit more classic setup with Gulf moisture interacting with cold air over the south, where exactly that line sets up. Whether it's freezing rain, sleet, snow, some combination thereof, where that would be, how there's no way to tell. There's nobody that has the skill to predict that this far out. But again, somebody in the southeast will be dealing with more winter weather coming into next week. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I'm kind of rusty at it. Haven't done it in a while. Local is a different local to me now. I'm kind of paying attention to not only West Georgia, but now North Alabama and the Nashville area as well, as we're all, scattered out all over the place. But if you're looking for snow, I hope you see some. But again, I'm sorry for folks that I think the folks in Nashville are going to have several days of impacts from it. And I think here in Northeast Alabama, somebody's going to have significant impacts. So if it makes it to us or not remains to be seen. I hope it does, because it is beautiful here when it snows. So anyway, hope everybody has a good day. And if you've been listening to this, you obviously need to find something productive and more informative to do this morning. So anyway, hope everybody has a good day. Thank you.
Good job.